So yesterday we were doing the bubbling effect and I created three div 1 grandparent, div 2 parent and div 3 child, and I accessed each div using the document.query selector. And this is not the only way to select element. There are other ways also to select the element, but this is the best one, and this is used largely in accessing any element in the div tag. We'll see some of more things how to access the element, but this is the most common and we will be using this a lot whenever we do the vanilla JavaScript. And in React there is some other way to access it. And for each element I add the event listener for the click. So whenever someone click this ID, because I access with the ID, then this console.log will be called. And we have parent also add event listener click and the child also add event listener click. I stop the propagation for the child. That means when I click the child and I click the child, and then it will not go to parent and grandparent kind of thing, because I use the e.stop propagation. Let's comment this e.stop propagation and let's see how it goes without propagation, without stopping. What happened? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is my grandparent, parent, child. I click the child. So you will see child is clicked, parent is clicked, and grandparent is clicked. So even if I'm clicking the child, it goes to the parent and then grandparent, and it will go to all the levels till the top if we have something event for that. But let's see, if I click the parent, then parent was clicked and the grandparent was clicked is called, because parent goes to the top because it's a bubbling effect. So from parent it will go till up, not the down. Now this is called the bubbling. Let's write down this is bubbling. I will create bubbling.txt. The bubbling effect goes from child to grandparent. Child goes to parent and to grandparent. So there is another event called as capture effect, that goes from parent, grandparent to parent to child. So this is called the capture effect. Now we will see how to implement the capture effect in our code. So let me save this as HTML2. You can also save it as 2.html, where we will see the capturing event effect. Okay, let's see 2 is working. So right now it's a bubbling, so you will see child, parent and grandparent. Let's make this as a so to make this as a capture effect, we have the third parameter. Right now we have 3 parameter, 1 and this is a 2. Right now we have 2 parameters everywhere, 1 parameter and 2 parameter. Here also 1 parameter and 2 parameter. But if we want to use it as a capture effect, then I will make as a third parameter as true. So when I make third parameter as true, it will not call the bubbling effect, but it will call the capture effect. So let's see what we are getting. So now I'll refresh the page. Now if you see if I click child, I'm clicking child. So first grandparent is clicked is called, and then parent is called, and then child is called. Okay, so it is coming from top to bottom. Previously what you were seeing, it was going first child was called, then parent was called, then parent was called. But now when I click child, Grandparent is called first, then parent is called, and then child is called. So next is parent. When I click the parent, now grandparent is called and then parent is called. And when I click grandparent, only grandparent is clicked. So though when I click the grandparent, it does not radiate to child, but when I click the child, it starts with the grandparent first and then parent and then child. So that is the difference one. So from where does the effect starts? When I make this last parameter as a true, the effect starts from the grandparent to parent and to child. But when this true was not there, and when I click child, the effect starts from child to parent to grandparent. So this is about the add event listener and the bubbling effect in JavaScript. So when we are setting this third parameter true, we are in fact setting the use capture is kind of variable is we are making true. This is the name I have given. Actually, when I'm putting third parameter true, so add event listener gets this parameter and instead of bubbling, it uses the capture effect. So the true and false as a third parameter tells me whether the capture effect has to be implemented or the bubbling effect has to be implemented. So when I pass third parameter as true, it tells the event listener that this is not the bubbling effect, this is the capture effect. So whenever I click the child, it should start from the grandparent to parent to child. So third parameter is capture effect. So just copy and paste your first file and just make it true and see if your effect is going same way as my effect is going. I'll give you 2 minutes to finish this. So instead of the third parameter, initially it was false. By default it is false, and by default it is a bubbling effect. And when we make the third parameter as true, then it is capture effect. Just 2 minutes, finish this one. Is it done? Okay. So let's move a little bit this part to some more stuff which we will do. So in the bubbling effect, okay, third parameter is use capture, which is false by default, and we have bubbling effect. And if we make this as true, it uses capture effect. Let's move a little bit on this to delegation. So we will go to the delegation which uses the bubbling effect, and we will make our one small uh, experiment using the bubbling effect, and we will use the delegation. So delegation and bubbling are almost related to each other. Now we'll see what exactly is delegation. Let me create, I'll take the 1.html and save it as 3.html. Okay, so this is my 3.html and it uses the bubbling effect. So let's check this. Okay, so it is bubbling effect. Okay, now what I will do, I will create a delegation in one example. I will create a div tag and I will name it as class of buttons. And inside this div tag, I will create 3 div tags more, or 3 buttons. Button, the class of button 1. And here I will say button 1. And like this, I will create 2 more. Button 2, button 3, button 2, and button 3. So let's forget about this part. Now just concentrate on this part. So right now we have button 1, button 2, button 3. When I click button 1, button 2, button 3, I don't see any effect in the console.log because we have not written any code for the buttons. So now what I will do, I will, instead of writing add event listener for each button, because right now we have 3 buttons, tomorrow we may have 10 buttons. Let's make 10 buttons if you want, or 5 buttons. So we can have 5 buttons, or we can have 100 buttons. Then what we have to do, either I can go to each button and write the event listener like this. So if I have 100 buttons, I have to do 100 times this thing. So rather to avoid that, we will only assign the click event on the main top buttons. I will assign only the top buttons, because whenever someone will click button 1, because of the bubbling effect, it will also click this button also. So if I have something event listener on the buttons, so no matter what you click the button 2, 3, 4 or 5, it will also call a click event on the buttons. And that is the reason in this example, I will only assign the click event on the main buttons. I will not assign on individual button. But when someone will click on any button, because each one has different class, I will be able to know which button is clicked. So I'll show you one example here. So like I have created this query selector, I will do it for the button also. So I will say const buttons is equal to document.query selector, and I will put it dot buttons. Why dot buttons? Because I am trying to access this one, and this is the class with the name of buttons. To access the class, you put the dot, whereas here we have ID. To access the ID, we use hash sign. But to access the button, to access the class, we will use buttons, dot buttons. Dot is for the class and buttons is for the name of this class. Now what I will do, I will write the query event listener on these buttons. I will say buttons dot add event listener, and I will put click as the event listener, and here I will write a function. Function will take the one parameter, that is E, and inside the curly bracket I will just say console.log what is E. So I just want to see what E is coming. Okay, I am on this part. Now let's check what E is coming as. So right now I have 5 buttons. Let me click the button 3. When I click button 3, I am getting E is, I get a long list of object, a big list of object where we see different things. Okay, so one of the thing is we see is target. let's see the target, this target. If I open this target, I will see another list of big object. In that, specifically, I will see one of the thing which I will see is the class list. Okay, and in the class list, I will see I have button 3 as in the class list. What if I click button 5? If I click button 5, I go to the target. Inside target, I will go to the class list, and I will see the class list button 5. So this way, I can differentiate which button was clicked. In the first case, I got the class list of button 3. Now here I get the class list of button 5. Let's try to add ID also. If you want, you can add ID also and see what happens. So let me add button 1. So let me add different ID for each button. Now I refresh, I click button 4, and if I go to the target, and inside target, first I will check the class list. Class list has button 4. So I know button 4 was clicked. I will also go to ID and I can see the ID is button 4, BTN 4. So I will know because of the ID or because of the class list, I will know which button was clicked. And based on the button which it clicked, I will do necessary action. So let's do some action on it. Let me print e.target here. Rather than e, I will put e.target and I'll see what is coming. So if I just put e.target, it will not give me the list of object which it has. Though e.target is object, but I don't see it. Okay, so now what I will do, I will check. So I can use different way to check whether button 1 is clicked or button 2 is clicked. Let's say I will use one method. I will say if e.target.id is equal to button 1, I will say just do something. And what something? I may say alert hello world, something like that. So when I click button 1, I see alert hello world. Why I am seeing alert hello world? Because target is button 1. If I go to ID of the target is button 1. So ID is button 1. I can say if e.target.id is equal to button 2, just go to another page. Maybe I can say window.location.hrefs. This is a way to redirect it to another page. I can say go to google.com. So this is the way to send the user to different page. So I'll say window.location.hrefs, go to google.com. So anyone, when someone clicks this button 2, you will go to google.com. I will just name Google. So second button is Google. When I click second button, it goes to google.com. Why it is going to google.com? Because I click the button 2, which I can know with this line of the code. And when someone click this line of the code, it goes to the Google because of this line of the code. So we checked what are the different one way to access which button was clicked. So though the button, I haven't written any click on the button, but because of the bubbling effect, when I click button 1, it automatically clicks this div tag, and I will only put event listener to the parent div tag, that is this button. Let's try to see another way to access the buttons. So one way is through ID. Another way is through the class name. So let's see how to check the button using the class name. Okay, I will now access it through the class name. So when I click any button, I will get 1 second. So I will check the class name. Let's go to the target, and target we have the class list. So let's try to access it using the class list. I can also use the class name. Let's try class name first, and then I will do class list. So here I will put the class name equal to button3. Go to, maybe I can say go to yahoo.com. So when someone clicks the button 3, I will send him to yahoo.com. Okay, so let's see what we are getting. So let me click first button 4. I will not get anything because I haven't written any code to use it. Okay, class name has N capital. So let me just verify it. I will put N capital. Now if I click button 3, it is going to yahoo.com. Okay, so now why it is going to yahoo.com? Because it checks what button was clicked. Button 3 was clicked, and because button 3 was clicked, I was redirecting user to window.location.hrefl. Let's see how to access the class list. So we have the class list also. There are different ways I'm showing you. You can access which thing was clicked. One was the class name. Another is the class list. Class list is the list kind of thing, so you cannot access directly this button 5, but I can write some code so that I can access it. So I will say if e.target.classList dot contains, I have to use dot contains. What it contains? I will say if it contains button 4. So if class list has button 4, then I can call something. Maybe I'll call alert. Alert, hooray. Okay, so when someone will click the button 4, I will call the hooray. So since here I'm using the class list, so class list is a list kind of thing. And to access the list, we have to use the contains. And we have to give what it should contain. It should contain button 4. Let's check it now. If I click button 4, I'm getting hooray. Why? Because I'm checking the target. Inside target, I'm checking the class list. And class list has one element called as button 4, which I was able to check using the contains. Whenever we use the list, we have to use the contain, and we have to see which thing it should contain, and I was able to access it. So these are the different way you can access it. And there's one more way also. Let's see one more way. There are many ways. More means there is one way, but we can have one more way. Okay, so let me show you one more way. So maybe in the 5th button, I will create one parameter. I will name it as data, and I can put anything, x, y, z, blah 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 blah, anything which I want. Right now, for my purpose, I will say my custom button. I can put any name on it, and I will just say some value, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever I want. And now to access this, okay, so let's see how we can access this one. So let's see. Let me click it, and then we will see what it comes as. So when I click button 5, I will go to the E, and inside E, I will go to the target. There is this target, and inside the target, I will go to thing called data set. Since I created some parameter using the data, so that parameter will be inside the data set. The data set has my custom button, which is equal to 1. So I can access it using this property. I can add more properties also if I want. I can put more here, like my custom button 2. I can add n number of properties, but I don't want to add one number of properties. I just want to my custom button. So what I will do, I will say if e.target.dataset dot. Now dot, what was the parameter? My custom button is equal to 1. Then do something. What to do? Say alert my custom box. So I'll just say alert my custom box. Now let me check it. When I click button 5, you will see this alert box, my custom box. And if I go here in the target, I can see data set, and it is saying my custom button equal to 1. So whenever we have this data set, and whenever I click that, it will always call this alert box because I define it like that way. So I define it here like that. If my custom button dataset.custom button equal to 1, then I will alert custom box. Now no matter if I put this to button 1 also, I will get that thing. So if I click button 1, so first hello world is coming and then my custom box is coming because of the code. In the code I put this part for the button 1 and this part for the custom button. So both are running together. So wherever I will put now this data custom button, it will work like that and I will get this alert custom box. So let's remove it from the first one, but I can put it anywhere and I will get the same effect as this one. So this is another way to access the element. So we have not given any event listener to the button, but we have given to the parent element, which is this one, buttons. So before I go further, just write down this div, add all 5 buttons, and then write down this code. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes to finish it. Let me open another pane. Where is that? Okay, split right. Okay, here I will give you the JavaScript code. Here is the HTML code, is this one, and this is the JavaScript code. So write down both the code and let me know once it's done. And if you have any question, you can ask me about this one. Okay, that's it for today. Let's talk more tomorrow. If you have any questions, let me know.